beginning a program here with Deborah in the fall, Jim's support, a two-year training program for spiritual directors. And we'd be glad for those of you who might have interest to explore that and to find out more about it. Part of the wonderment of sowing seeds, of setting life free, is its mystery. You can never know if or when life will spring up, and whether or how it will grow. There's an old saying, we know the number of seeds in an apple, but only God knows the number of apples in a seed. Each life touched by the word of Christ's gift of salvation will respond in its own unique way. Jesus himself is the sower in today's parable, but each one of us who takes up and takes in the word Christ plants in us, each one of us who takes seriously the life task of nurturing that word into a fruitful life, each one of us will ourselves take on the identity of a sower. Sowing seed, spreading the word, becomes our gardener identity. Sowing is a lifetime work for every Christian, for every Christian church. God expects fruit from us to feed a spiritually hungry world. In a marvelous circularity of spirituality, the ultimate in fruit bearing is seed sowing. It's not enough just to flower forth with beauty. We sing that wonderful hymn, Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee, and that line that speaks of hearts unfolding like flowers before him, rising to the sun above. Wonderful words, true words. But they speak of our hearts unfolding like flowers before God. The process, an organic process where we become channels of the very grace we're giving and allowing that grace to pour through us to others. We become gardeners, don't we? Helping set life free. That's our fruit bearing. When our hearts are surrendered to God, then we have hearts growing into the heart of Jesus. We are the good soil in Jesus' parable. We are the ones who hear the word and understand it and allow it into our hearts to do its work. Now, there's another aspect of this parable that's, I think, scandalous as a good gardener. Most human gardeners are careful with their seed. Seed is expensive. You want to use the best seed and you want to put it just in the right soil. But notice in Jesus' parable, the sower willy-nilly is sowing seed everywhere. On rocky ground, unfertile soil. That's wasteful. But that's part of the point that Jesus is trying to make. This gospel text is about the soil of our hearts, but it's also about an extravagant God who blesses us beyond measure, even when we don't deserve it, and we seldom do. An extravagant God who continues to scatter the best seed, his word, his very life, to a world full of stony hearts, and shallow hearts, and strangled hearts. Our God is an extravagant God who blesses us beyond all measure. And we rejoice in that fact. We celebrate it. It's why we're here this morning. God sows the seed of his love in places where it may not take root and produce food. That includes some of us, some of the time. We believe in a God of miracles, and sometimes that's exactly what happens, even in us. The seed does take root. It isn't gobbled up or dried up or strangled. And when that happens, God rejoices and uses that seed as an example of just how extravagant God's grace truly is. God's grace can change the stony, shallow, and strangled heart into the surrendered heart, a heart that makes a difference, a heart that joins God in setting life free. We all know something of what it takes to tend and care for a garden. Right? We do. We all have a great and good gardener. We know our God, ready and wanting to care and attend to us, ready and willing to prune and nurture us towards a great harvest of love and of service. So our best prayers this day and every day for me are prayers for God's help. Lord, help me to abide in you. Let me receive your pruning. Apart from you, Lord, my heart will always be hard and distracted and discouraged. Would you soften my heart this day so that I'm prepared to receive your word, that I'm prepared for your kingdom service? Call me again, Lord, to come to you, to be rested by you, to be centered in relationship with you. Join you in setting life free. Amen.